So now I kind of want to stay on the theme of relationships and dating, but I wanted to ask you, are you more attracted to the bad boy or the nice guy? And do we think that nice guys finish last?
My spidey senses are tingling. I don't know if I really believe in the whole notion of the good guy and the bad guy thing. And I know that sounds crazy, but it doesn't
sound crazy.
Yeah, I just don't believe in it personally. I just don't believe in it. Like, I just want to date whoever I'm attracted to, like, period. Like, do you know what I mean? I feel like, though, growing up, I was made to feel that the guys who I weren't attracted to were nice guys. And so, like, when I watched TV shows, and so they were like, the men that were good for you didn't look as good, or they weren't as desirable. So in my mind, it would have been like, okay, well, the man that's good for me isn't desirable, so why would I want him? That's what I think. Watching Disney Channel, I'm telling you, this is what they put in my mind. And so then it was like, but the guy who was desirable had all these toxic traits. And I do think for a lot of people that follows through into adulthood, that they like maybe men that have toxic traits because that's seen as more desirable. But for me, I think life and time and real world application has shown me that men who can treat you well still look just as good, sometimes even better, than the men that have toxic traits. So I don't feel like I need to think about your character to see if you're a nice guy or if you're a bad guy. Do you look good to me? Yes or no? Are you a good person? Yes or no? Because I can't be with a man that looks good and is talking to me crazy, because then we're going to have a real problem. So so by theory, then I'd be with a nice guy. But for me, I don't believe in the nice bad guy. It's just, you're just a guy. I don't know if that makes sense.
What? Girl, I feel like there are nice guys and there are bad guys. Or maybe it's because I've just dated some of them. So I think they're definitely out there. But I think for me, you have to think about, how bad is bad? Do you mean like he's a drug dealer bad? Or do you mean that he just doesn't know how to treat women bad? Because there's a scale. There's a scale of bad guys.
All of that bad sits under bad. I think all of that bad sits under bad.
All of it sits under bad? Okay. Yes. So I've dated bad guys, and I think for me... I think for women, they bring a certain level of excitement, because you feel like it's kind of, you don't know what's going to happen, because literally they're not really that reliable with you. And it's kind of like the thrill of the chase, maybe, like what's going to happen. You have these dramatic highs and lows, and it feels like it's chemistry or it's just exciting, but it's actually not very good traits. And you're really training yourself to be in a toxic situation. Like, and sometimes I feel like I get caught out. Like, I don't know if that's the case, because I want to think on some level you're attracting them. If you keep dating them, you're attracting them. But I've dated some guys who I feel like they were like unknown bad guys. Like, you feel like they were good, and then you see, you're like, what? You were really a bad guy? I didn't see that coming. Like, I went on this course. It was a long course. So it wasn't like a day course. It was over a few months. And on this course, I'm not going to tell you who it was. There was a male black influencer who has a lot of followers, and he and I were in the same class. Now, we went home together on the tube because we was going in the same direction, and we just vibed together. Like, honestly, we just vibed together. There's lots of banter, there was lots of jokes, and I was trying to work out, like, is he interested in me? Like, he asked for my Instagram, and like, he seemed like at the end of the course, every time he'd wait for me, we'd always wait for each other. It got to the point that people in the course were like, something's going on between you two. And I'm just like, no, like, we're literally, nothing's going on. They were like, you're lying. I'm like, no, we're just friends. But we just hang out together because we just clicked. So then I spoke to one of my male friends, and I said to him, how should I tell if this guy likes me? Like, how am I going to, like, what do I say? And he was just like, just try and drop an idea for a date. He was like, just talk about, oh, have you been to that restaurant, and blah, 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 or talk about something and see if he kind of picks it up. I was like, okay. So the next time we met up, I did that. And I was just kind of like, okay, so I fed in that little thing. He was like, yeah, I'd really love to go there. I'd really love to go to that museum. That sounds really good. We should do it. And I was just like, okay. I am not kidding you. About 12 hours later, I saw him with his influencer girlfriend on his Instagram account, declaring their love literally at the firework display in London. And I was just like, what? And Tutu's, when we still went on our course, he was still really friendly. Those long lingering hugs goodbye with his hand on the small of my back. And I was just like, you're a bad guy? Like, what happened? So some of them are just masquerading, guys. I'm telling you.
Deceivers.
See, like, I'm kind of with Anissa when I don't know if I'd like put people in the like bad guy, good guy categories. And I also reject the idea that nice guys finish last, because what that sounds like to me is a guy feeling entitled to a woman, presenting her with a fake friendship and not receiving sex, and then getting mad about it. That's how it sounds to me.
You always got to take it down that route.
You know that it is, though. Like, you thought you could exchange kindness for someone's vagina, and now you're upset because you didn't. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean you finished last? Shouldn't you just be nice to people because you want to be nice to them instead of you feel like you want to get something from them? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I just like, and then so it's like, so then they look at someone else that you'll be with and be like, oh, but that guy, but I did this, and I'm like, but I'm me, and I'm choosing who I'm paying attention to, and just because you held the door open, so it's just frustrating. It's frustrating for me. I guess like I've never really been heavily attracted to the whole bad boy thing because most of them to me seem like idiots, and that's just
fair enough.
And it's just because you don't seem emotionally mature, and when you're not, like, how are we supposed to have a conversation? Like, how are we supposed to actually talk about something interesting or something moving to you or something real when you think that the best thing that you can do is like treat them mean to keep them keen? And I dated a guy when I was young and stupid who, when I was younger and stupider,
I was going to ask how young is young. I was like, how young is young?
18. And he was like the age that I am now. So he was, you know, when people try to give you that kind of like backhanded compliment, that make you feel insecure but also make you feel attached to them. So he said something like, oh my gosh, the day that you walked in, I was call them person A, me and person A noticed you, and I was saying, oh, isn't she so attractive? And then person A was like, nah, I'm not really into black girls, but I was like, nah, she's beautiful. And I'm like, you really trying it. You really trying it. You really trying the mind games on me here. Like, what part of that story could you have cut out? Tell me. Tell me what you could. Tell me what
Luanda,
you could have left off the table.
I saw you and you looked really attractive. That's all you have to say.
You don't have to tell the story at all. Just say, girl, you look good today. That's what you have to say.
The end.
Exactly.
That is. Do you know what? As we've been thinking about it more, I don't believe in the good guy, bad guy thing. But when I think about it, then I guess there would be, if I look back my history, there would be people that you may say necessarily was a bad guy and people that were necessarily were good guys. But I think for me, what I think, I get the reason why some people like this whole bad guy thing is because sometimes bad guys, you know, they're like hyper masculine, you know, very alpha male, very strong, confident, domineering, and women
charming, charismatic.
Exactly. And women like confident, outgoing men. I mean, most women like confident, outgoing men. And so maybe people associate that more with the bad guy character. But when I look back on my life, bad guy, good guy, like they're all confident and outgoing. Like I like super alpha male men. Like I like super alpha male men. So whether you're a good guy or a bad guy really doesn't fall into it. As long as you know how to hold your own as a man, then all is well. Yeah. Have I dated men who aren't super alpha male? Yes. And I just found it just didn't work for me. And so for some people, that's how they may feel about nice guys. It doesn't work for them because they may not have that masculine energy. But for me, if you want to chase the bad guy, it's always a chase. It's like a game of It. The chase continues. Then there's not a second level of It where the chase stops and everyone is just sitting there. Do you know what I mean? It just keeps going and going and going. And there is no peace when you are at war in your relationship. Like, I don't want chase. I don't want toxicity. I don't want the bad guy. How about I have the peace in that you are consistent and that you are reliable and you are the man that you said you are. So if that's more associated with nice guys, then I guess nice guys are for me and they ain't finishing last over here.
But that's the thing though. I have to ask, like, quickly, Anissa, like, do you feel like those were traits you were looking for when you were younger though? Because my thing is, as I've gotten older, I'm just like, you being reliable and dependable and supportive is sexy as hell. But when I was younger, I wasn't even thinking about, can he be someone I can rely on? I wasn't even thinking. I'm like, is he cute? Does he dress well? Like,
it wasn't
can I have banter with him?
it wasn't as an evolved thought as, oh, I need you to be consistent, but it would be things like, if I'm speaking to you today at a certain time, then I'd expect maybe that we would continue speaking. If we've established I hope that we'd establish patterns. So it wouldn't be like I hear from you 1 week and then 3 weeks later I hear from you. I'd like a man that had some sort of pattern to the life of where, okay, if we speak twice a week, then we speak twice a week. We speak 3 times a week, 3 times a week. I liked a man that kept his word, even from when I was young. I don't like deceivers and liars and manipulators. They've never been for me, honey, not even when I was 5 on the playground. I need you to think about what it is that you want. I like a man that holds his word. I really do, even when I was younger.
Yeah.
And obviously looks cute.
This is the thing that's interesting, because in terms of I still believe that there are bad guys and nice guys, and I'm not saying that in terms of they're that forever, but I've never dated a bad guy or seen a bad guy, let's say quote unquote, that didn't have some other issues going on in their life, and that's because the reason why they were that's been my personal experience. But I was reading in Good Housekeeping, and it was talking about, they were trying to take this from a scientific perspective, and I'm like, this is foolishness, but I want to see what you guys think. They were saying the reason why women are attracted to bad guys is because we like hypermasculine men, but also because we sense that literally on an anatomy level, on a biological level, that their sperm will have better quality if they're more masculine. Therefore, that's why women are attracted to it.
Okay, so
Look, Luanda, that was on my face. When I read it, I was just like...
The thing is with me, though, like we said earlier, people think that less emotions and less emotional expression equates to strength. And people think strength equates to masculinity. But for me, the more open, the more honest you are, the more true to yourself you are, the more of a man you are to me, the more of a human being you are to me. So I don't care about you know, most traits that people find attractive, because the thing that I want most is honesty and openness. And if I'm speaking to someone, because I'm very upfront, and you don't have to be as upfront as I am, but I need you to be comfortable enough to actually have a real conversation with me instead of talking about airy fairy things or telling me how much you press in the gym. I don't care. And I think a lot of the times the stereotypical bad guys have that closed off mindset, where it's oh, he's so hard to read, he's what's the strong and mysterious, is that the mysterious kind of thing, and then so people are drawn to them because they have the idea in their head that that's what a real man is supposed to be like, whereas someone who is a bit more expressive, they're seen as feminine, and feminine apparently according to society is the worst thing that a man could ever be considered as.
Do you know,
I don't... This is one of the...
Sorry, I was thinking just about your whole attracted to the sperm thing. Initially, I was like, absolutely not am I meeting you thinking about your little sperm. But
they're saying subconsciously. Yes,
but I don't know. But and then that's what I have to think about is subconsciously, because I'm thinking, because they say that men are attracted to women whose skin look a bit more supple and the hips are a little bit wider. They're saying subconsciously because it looks like you're ready to give birth or whatever, to have kids. So they like that kind of woman. So I'm thinking, well, maybe subconsciously then, maybe that's why. So my mind is... So I have no answer to your question about that, Sophie. Just, it made me think.
To be honest, it made me think, but I think in terms of this whole thing about because Anissa, you were talking earlier about the guys that we see in the media, and I think a lot of the guys that we see in films and TV, celebrities, are quote unquote bad guys. They're guys who have a lot of girlfriends, or they might get accused of cheating, or in a film, it's this guy who's kind of mysterious, you can't pin him down. But let's say 50 Shades of Grey, but by the end of it, she was what he was missing, and she's the thing that makes him change his life around. And I think a lot of women have adopted that and actually believe that in real life. And my thing is the majority of us are the rule. You're trying to be the exception, and the point is we're not the exception. They act like that because that's just how they are, and you being in their life, they're not a project. And that's what Good Housekeeping talked about. Some people might feel like it's a project for them to work on. I'm just he needs to work on himself. I am not here to try and get you to the level that you need to be. But
Speak
I
on
can say
it
this as well, because my husband is a good guy. I don't know if there's a difference between a nice guy and a good guy, but he's one and the same. He's both. But when I first started dating him, because I hadn't really dated guys who were open and transparent and consistent all of the time and did what they say they were going to do, I remember going out to lunch with my friend and saying to her, I don't know if he's gonna work. Like he's really nice. Like I think he's just too nice. And my friend was like, do you know what it is? She was like, there's no drama. Like what you're used to is the highs and the lows, and you don't know where you stand, and you're going after them, and what does it mean, and she was just like, and when you have a guy that's consistent, it can seem like it's boring. Like, you know what he's going to do. He's telling you what he's going to do. He's being consistent. She went, you just have to get used to it. And I think that's sometimes why nice guys might finish last, because women are trying to think, well, why aren't I, wondering where he's going to be, or why isn't he, like, you don't have any of that with a guy who's consistent, but you begin to realize actually that's how it should be. And I realized that there was actually an issue with me.
I was about to say that, Sophie. Not you, but just women in general who create drama.
Me too. I was used to toxic traits. I'm going to own it because I want people to know I was used to toxic traits and I wasn't ready for that. And thank goodness I had somebody who was willing to stay with me while I processed actually what I was looking for and what I wanted wasn't actually good for me. And Jesus had better.
And I'm telling you, it's not healthy to it's just not healthy to function in that kind of way. And I understand the whole drama thing, because I always hear that, oh, he's boring. Like, that is a line that is used a lot. And I think it speaks more to the person who's saying it versus the person who is quote unquote boring. And so that's something, that's a whole piece. But I do agree with you, Sophie, about sometimes, people like a project or want to feel so special about themselves that I'm the one who changed him. He changed for me. And I helped him. I'm so perplexed at this idea. Never in my life do I want to pick a man up like a fixer-up project. I am not Bob the Builder. Can we fix it? No, I can't. I don't want to. I would like you to come fully made and well, okay? Because I'm fully made and well. So this perplexes me when I'm perplexed. I can't.
To be fair, Sophie, when you started talking about the article that you had read and said, oh, women are attracted to these type of men because, and then you started talking about the sperm thing, I actually thought you were heading in the direction of saying we're attracted to broken men because we want to fix them and we want to mother them back to health. And I think it's such,
I
like
wish
you
that's
said,
what
like,
I was saying, Luanda. I wish.
The sperm thing is interesting, though. I really want to go read that.
It is interesting. It's weird, but I think it's unhealthy of us to think that we need to, like you said, Anissa, be Bob the Builder when we don't. We can be fully formed and meet someone on the same level as us. And the thing that I'm always looking for is someone to grow with. Like, you don't have to be the person who I think I'm going to be when I'm ready to be married. Like, you just have to be where I am now, as long as we're heading in the same direction. And that 100%. Goes for all of the relationships in my life, platonic, romantic, or whatever else is in between. Because if we're not heading in the same direction, then we how's that going to work? Let me know. How's it going to work?
I 100% agree with you. And I think the nice guys are looking better as well. Not to say that, but what I'm saying is that everyone will quote unquote say that Sierra's husband is a nice guy. No one will say that Russell Wilson is this monster. No one will ever say he's a bad guy. And Russell's really good looking on the eye. So I think this whole nice guy being less desirable thing is, I know Luanda felt that one.
I felt that one. She's got
like you said, I feel like nice guys get a bad time for being good guys, for being nice and trustworthy and honest. And that's the only thing that's going to help you in a long-term relationship. Long-term with some bad guy who you don't know where you stand. There's too much tiring. It's
too much headache, man. Who wants the drama?
Yeah.
Who?
For real. Don't need it.
That's when we've settled on the nice guy versus good guys. Thank you.